Welcome to Spiritually Raw. We expose and explore controversial truths, myths, and theories surrounding the spirit world. Guests include QAnon experts, investigators, debunkers, and skeptics of the supernatural, unexplained, and flat-out unimaginable. Content discussed on this show is not necessarily the opinion of the cast of Spiritually Raw, and topics quite often are for mature audiences only. This show is not intended to replace any medical, financial, or legal advice and is for entertainment purposes only. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Hello, everybody. How are you? And welcome to Spiritually Raw. Thank you so much for your energy exchange with us today. And we hope you woke to the most miracle morning and are having the most fortunate day today. We have, as you can see right now, Mr. Russell-J. Gould here for us. And let me tell you a little bit about him. And we're going to dive right in. If we first get there, I do want to thank you all for those of you. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button so we can keep you notified about great guests coming on like this and really informative stuff that's happening right now during this great awakening. So thank you for that, and much love for all of you doing that. And also
make sure to check us out and follow us also on Twitter. And as you all know, Facebook deleted all of our pages, but we have one page now, and we made it a combination page, and we'll put all the links up for you.
So if we're ever chatting with you, just always ask who it is, right? You never know who it is at this point, but it's all good there. But thank you for everything, you guys. We really much love you on that. Okay, so Postmaster General of our world, Chief Judge of the Supreme Court, Federal Postal Judge, aka the Chief, Russell J. figured out the secrets to capturing the Title IV flag of America over 2 decades ago, becoming the first Postmaster General of the planet. And he's also got a movie out, which you guys can check out. And we're going to have links here for you. It's called Last Flag Standing, and you can check that out, lastflagstanding.com. Now, if that is not enough, Mr. Gould is also the first creator of the Quantum Banking Global Monetary Fund, United States Treasury, and World Central Bank with the correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar of the planet Earth, and owner of the Title IV flag, commander-in-chief of the Pentagon Military Corporations, key master of the Vatican City, Italy, comptroller of the global currency, Postmaster General of our world, if you missed that one, owner of the global currency, coin of the correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar, federal judge and U.S. Supreme Court judge, and muster master of the U.S. Navy.
I dare you to say all that again.
No, but I hope I didn't miss anything, right? Did I get it all in? Did I get it all? Hey, you're welcome, but I know you got some stuff too, right?
Yeah, I just want to read a quick quote from Russell. He says, quote, "What if I told you the biggest secret on the planet is not the virus hoax or the fake potential alien invasion, not Lucifer, not the New World Order? The real secret they've been hiding is that there is already a solution in place for the truth to win." In the Last Flag Standing, Russell-J. Gould brings closure on the 2000 fake Florida-Chad U.S. election that covered up the end of the United States of America Corporation as a result of their third and final bankruptcy in 1999. According to international contract law, bankrupt corporations are not allowed to own countries, making the United States and the presidency as we know it all fake.
Okay, Mr. Russell-J. Gould, formally welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. I'm excited. Yeah. That's a mouthful. It's
no, not at all. Come on.
It's a tongue twister.
It's all good though. It's all good. But you know what? I tell you, we've been, I've been watching some of your videos, and you're definitely captivating people right now. You're causing a stir one way or the other, I should say. You got people who believe you are the second coming, to people who believe that, who and what the hell is this guy thinking, right? So you've never heard that. So I want to dive right in, get our audience to really get to know you, and then really break down some of the things that you've uncovered. But first off, what does Donald J. Trump think about you being the commander-in-chief of the world? Have you had any acknowledgement on that?
I don't really care what he thinks. He's so new into the theater as far as his tactical skills about moving militaries and stuff. So I'm not going to be judgmental towards him. And I've actually never had a conversation with the gentleman. So I don't really have any feedback to give you, sir. I just, I'm a guy that, I meet people and take at face value for what they're saying until they prove that, you give people trust until they prove that they're not worthy of your trust. And so for me to watch, I feel sorry for the guy. I mean, he shows up in Washington, D.C. He's got no flag. He's got no post office. He's got no banking system. He's got no military. He's got no judicial system. Tough position to be in, right? Real tough position to be in. So from a tactical command position, I can't be judgmental about that,
How is he able to make all the decisions?
Well, it's the ignorance of the people. It's the ignorance of the people around him. And you've got to remember, I don't know if he's making decisions, and you don't know if he's making decisions, right? There are people always in the backgrounds, always, as you know. When you're a leader, I can tell you one thing, that there's a lot of people that try to come get your ear. And so you want to make sure that you test that spirit or that thought process and make sure that it doesn't damage your fellow mankind. And, that's a tough position, as I know, for him to be in, and for myself, I see the same thing. I see, I've had a lot of betrayal in my life. I've had a lot of crazy things happen to me. I've been down a copious amount of doors and pathways and through a lot for this quantum banking system that I'm tendering to the planet and to help the citizens of the world, as well as the citizens of this country. I've just published some of the documentation and going to be publishing a lot more about the disqualification of the Federal Elections Commission and some of the things that I've done. The good news is that they're all going to walk into my house. When they walk into my house, I'll be ready for them. And I'm sorry, the U.S. Supreme Court, when they're going to go to, into my house. And when they go there, I'll get a chance to show up and get a chance to be me, and I'm fair with all. They're going to have to come through the.
Have they acknowledged?
What's that?
Have they acknowledged your request for information or your let's call it demands? Have they acknowledged anything that you're sending them?
It doesn't really matter. Their skill set on continuance of the evidence is very negligent, and so for what that means, let me back up. Their portfolio of credentialing for the corporate structure is deficient in authorization for fee for free. Means that they're not really in a position to state a claim. So I'm not really concerned about what they're doing. What I'm concerned about, let's get the focus off of them and let's get the focus back onto the people. Okay, let's forget about what they're doing, because that's nothing. Let's focus about the needs of the people right now. There's a lot of concern about all these people that are really upset about everything. And they're destroying things. They're chastising and pointing fingers at everybody instead of taking a look at themselves and how we're communicating, how all of us have been tricked through the birth certificate scam of 1999, and the focal point of the breaking of the continuance of evidence and the lie by the Bush regime, and Obama was no better, and Trump's just the third part of that. So it's a bad thing to watch, but the sad thing is to watch the moral value decline towards our fellow mankind. So some of the reasons why I'm coming forward is to create a sense of peace, that we don't have to destroy things, that the solutions are on the table. There will be many geniuses coming forward within the quantum banking system to put their genius for the solutions on the table for the people. So and not instead of taking the concept away from the people, we're trying to give the people a hand up and still putting their boot on, your boot on their neck. Those days are over. And so that's a wonderful thing. And as well as, looking at the health and some of the things that are trying to be forced and all the scare tactics they're trying on us. It's a sad state of affairs right now for the world. And, the focal point shouldn't be about what they're doing. The focal point should be on the people that are coming forward for solutions. And the solutions, of course, are not with the pantomime of the put your mask on and be afraid and social distance from you. Now think about this. We're supposed to help our fellow mankind, and yet they're going to teach people that you need to social distance. Wonder what that could be. You mean that if that person's in trouble, you're not supposed to lend a hand to your fellow neighbor and help them out?
Let me.
Okay,
you go
Why
ahead.
would we want to not help?
Oh, for
Go
sure.
ahead, sir.
Absolutely. Let's just kind of backtrack just for 1 second to help people understand how you got
Sure.
to where you are, because it's complex.
Oh, yeah.
First,
Okay.
you speak a code in grammar, and you broke the code, the syntax. that has been holding
David, yeah.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, David-Wynn Miller, my ex-business partner, who's now dead. And he, with what we set up in our corporate structure, I just carried on the corporate structure and the copyrights and all the things in the grammar. And the grammar is a math interface where we can go in and out of all languages in the world, and we lose no deviation in our sentence structure. The value of this is as we engage in trade or corporate business from one corporation to another, we don't have to argue about words because the translation goes from English to Russian, Russian to Chinese, Chinese to Spanish to Italian to whatever language we need. And we don't get caught up in subjective interpretation on what words mean or what they don't mean. So it takes away from the arbitration of performance on terms of contract. This is a valuable tool because everything is now locked in a now space scenario to create performances. And so that is the focal point of the quantum grammar. And then also simultaneously, we have a corporate things that we look at called parse, which parse means that we're breaking down the order of operation of words. We look at prefixes and suffixes and all of these styles that bring our communication construct into forefront to maintain our day-to-day business lives. And so with that in mind, we've taken, David and I took time to break down all prefixes and suffixes and do the study on putting everything in a positive performance in the now space. And so I've been doing this for 24 years. So I want to back up and kind of give you a little bit background. And in that journey, you know, I was through many trials and tribulations for my own self, proving to myself what didn't work to figure out what did work. And so when I make these claims at these locations, they verified, and I've had verifiable performances at places such as the Vatican, places such as the World Bank, the IMF, the global stock markets. I rewrote the whole construct for finances on planet Earth. Simultaneously, we rewrote the construct for the style of how businesses conduct business from one nation to another, and that was done at the United Nations with the with the Postal Administration, as well as many embassies and ambassadors. And so it's taken me around a large journey of, you know, learning a bunch. And, you know, I don't claim to know everything, please, but I know what I know, and I know for a fact. I know what I know, and I know for a fact. And when I tell you, I'm Chief Judge of the U.S. Supreme Court.
I want to ask you this because you do have a pretty impressive list, if you would, of you know, what you say are credentials here. Have you been able to take an official role in any of these positions as we speak now? Are you acknowledged in any of these positions, such as Keymaster of the Vatican City, Comptroller of Global Currency? Are you officially acknowledged by that right now?
The good news is like when Catholic cardinals see me, they take off a running. I consider that a bona fide certification of the correctness, because everything that they've perpetrated upon the world has been a lie. From the mindless wars to the continued using religion to create strife against our fellow mankind. The divineness and spiritualness is in everyone, in each and every one of us. It is not in a church telling us what to do. That's for sure.
That is for sure.
Can we call you Chief, by the way? Do you mind if we call you Chief throughout our interview?
Yeah,
okay. All right. Because the Russell hyphen J. You know what I mean? Thanks.
Yeah.
Chief, so help everyone understand, why was it so important for you to capture the Title IV flag over 2 decades ago? Why is that so important? And where are we now with all of that?
Well, that's a great question. So the foundation and some of the things where the law of the flag came from was dealing with, back in older times and, you know, historical days or ancient times, as tribes of people or communities of people would interact and see people, they would have different symbolisms as hieroglyphics, and the house or the tribe would be under that hieroglyphic. And it got put into what they call flags and flag etiquette, which was the law of the flag. So if you came upon a tribe somewhere and they had certain colors up, or a certain country and they had certain colors up, you knew that that land or that tribal band was under the terms of that flag or that construct. So when the United States government came out of bankruptcy, the number one symbol for contracting of the country was the Title IV 1 to 1.9 dimension flag. Now there are other flags. There's the flag of peace. There are several other flags for sure, which I filed copyrights and quantum grammar for in 2007. So there are other flags here within the construct, but the Title IV 1 to 1.9 dimension flag, which is you'll see back here, is the flag that they put like on coffins for soldiers, right? It's the flag that you before you go into the post office, it's the flag you're seeing flown outside the post offices. So this is the contracting flag. This is the federal contracting flag. If you have yellow fringe on the flag, you're moving into a 3x5 boat flag. The rules and guidelines for those flag etiquettes can be found for your audience in Army Regulation 840-10, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 210. That will take you into a comprehension level of what different styles of flags have different meanings. Different things on top have different meanings to what suspends flag. The way flags sit in location also has different variances on what the communication contract right of that flag is. So the flag itself was a controlling mechanism for contracting. So when the United States came out of bankruptcy, David and myself filed for the copyrights on the flag. And in that construct,
how did the United States get into bankruptcy?
That was by Benjamin Franklin. And I was blessed enough, so that's a good question. I was blessed enough because I'm Postmaster-General, I was able to go to the Benjamin Franklin Post Office in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where the United States Postal Service opened up all the glass paintings for me and panes, and I was able to get in, read the bank books and do specific things there to learn. So Benjamin Franklin borrowed 1.6 million francs from France. France sold the note, and they came out with the Declaration of Independence as the bankruptcy charter for that note in 1789. So when that all happened, the bankruptcy note was bought by another banking entity, and then they just put it into when the last domestic bankruptcy and the last domestic bankruptcy. Let's see, Abraham Lincoln went to renew the bankruptcy in 1856. Can't remember the exact date, but 1856 when the South seceded, the 5 Southern states seceded. We were slid into another bankruptcy right then.
So when we came out of bankruptcy the last time, is that when you were able to find out what you needed to take over the role of Postmaster General of the planet, or was that prior to?
Well, here's what I did. I filed the contracts in with the United Nations first. David and I did on August 12th of 1999, and then I filed in Washington D.C. because I saw that we were missing a location because we had taken the flag away from the federal government, and I knew that they were going to have to vacate the presidency of the United States. So I filed under the flag authorship as Postal-in-Inspector to myself from Lander, Wyoming to Washington, D.C. In Washington, D.C., when they received my contract, they put a label on the green card, the green mail slip that you see for certification. And then the labels are classified as tickets. Tickets are classified as postage stamps. And it was to the Postmaster General, and they mailed that back to me. And then I put my autograph across that, making me Postmaster General of Washington, D.C., the United States Postal Service. Then I had to physically wait till the United States Postal Service vacated its charter in violation of Title 39, Section 101, Subsection A and Subsection B. So when the post office vacated its location, which was the 2000 presidential election, they vacated the Constitution and they vacated the president, the position of a president. And this is when I had foundation as the Postmaster-General, and that's when I got the copy hold, so to speak, of the flag in Washington, D.C.
Did you need that before did you need that before you were able to take the other positions, such as the chief of the Pentagon military or
yeah. Oh yeah. Well,
is that the primary one you needed first?
that was the Pentagon was a little bit different. I had formulated a peace treaty because I wanted to live in peace. So I formulated a peace treaty with the Secretary of the Navy's office on February 20th of 2003. And in that, David and I came on as prize master, prize commissioners for shipping the Title IV flag as our prize to let the Navy lease it from us. So the Navy signed, the Secretary of the Navy's office signed a lease from us on the flag. And then when I came back a few years later, and after I'd already taken out, they were pretty rough on me, the judicial system. So I ended up taking down the federal judicial system and the U.S. Supreme Court.
How did you do that?
Taking down the U.S. Well, I filed a gold coin as a filing fee with the clerk's office at the U.S. Supreme Court because I had my own monetary system. Part of the function as the Postmaster General is I filed in as treasurer of the country simultaneously in another contract. And when I went to the Supreme Court, the Department of Defense opened the doors up for me because I went back into the Department of Defense. And when I walked into the Pentagon, everybody jumped to attention because I had been through such a butt whipping, so to speak, not surrendering the flag, and they respected that. And they were like, Gould, you walked to 40-inch strides. You're a bad man. And I'm like, yeah, I got pummeled. Where were you guys? Because I had a peace treaty with them. And so ended up they opened the door through the Department of Defense, and I got to file a gold coin as a filing fee. And I moved out of the Federal Reserve note key, the money system, because I had already published my global financial system in 2003 with the World Bank and the IMF and the stock markets.
You're in control of all these positions, and I know you alluded to earlier when they see you coming, they run. Why do they run? So, for example, when you said about the Catholic Church, they run if they see you coming. Why do they run? Is it that they don't want to give up power, or they can you help us with that one?
Well, they have a chemical imbalance called fiction with their grammar. And their grammar has controlled their world, and so their world gives them a chemical imbalance to be afraid. This is a fearful bunch. And so in their fearful chemistry, mechanical makeup, I have not had the military in place to grab them so they can't run away from me. That's all about to change, so I'm real happy about that, and it's good for the people.
How is it going to change? What's going to happen?
Well, the people are finding out about this. Well, you can find out the people are finding out about this story. And it's a true story. So they actually got to deal with me, and truth wins in the end.
I can agree with you. I can agree with you on that. Truth does win at the end. Truth usually prevails, or should prevail anyway, right? But I got my question to you. I want to again, really, just for the spirit of getting our audience to really get connected with you, because you got a really strong message here that you're wanting to get out. And when you go through this, can you help us to understand the process? So, for example, when you actually say, okay, well, look, I'm going to become the chief of the Pentagon military, right? What's the process?
Okay. So I didn't set out to do that. Okay. So what happened is I had a peace treaty as Postmaster General with the lease for the Secretary of the Navy's office. And as Postmaster General, I had the ability to walk in and out of the Pentagon. Well, when I went to go back in the Pentagon at a later date, they came out with their SWAT teams and threw me off the property. And then they called me on the phone and said, Russell, what happens when peace gets breached? I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. I got to go to war? Because, I mean, if you know who I am, I'm a pretty peaceful guy. I don't really think that wars are appropriate because it's a lack of communication. And so coming to find that balance of communication, that's why I got into the grammar, is because it allowed me the peace of knowing that I knew what all the terms of the words were. Right? Mm-hmm. Then I can perform with the contract. And so I ended up having to conduct when I had to go to war with the Pentagon, I conducted the world's largest military court-martialing at the Washington Mall. The Washington Mall is that little strip, outside the obelisk in Washington, D.C. That when I say the Washington Mall, it's that place.
The world's
conducted it every 40.
The world's largest. How many people were there? How big was it when you say the world's largest?
Well, it was every 45 days for 3 years. So I don't know. There were so many thousands of generals and admirals that were sued for AWOL for not showing up to trial. And they had, 20, 50 video cameras on me at all times. So I'd order a specific spot open, And then when I'd get there the day before, there'd be no cameras there. But I'd order there at such and such a time, and all the cameras and all the Pentagon would put up all their video cameras. I'm waiting for them to release some of the footage on that so the American people can see that. But I'm sure that they've been very busy scrubbing that, because I was in the process of trying to shut down the war and the vaccines against the U.S. soldiers, because the wars were fake. And simultaneously, I rewrote the whole construct for the military veterans affair for more of a homeopathic style, so our soldiers wouldn't have to go through some of the post-traumatic stress syndromes and some of the chemistry that involved with that.
I want to definitely talk about that in just 1 second, because that is a very important issue that is going to touch a lot of people. But I have a question before that, and if you can help us try to understand this, because you said that each flag represents a different meaning, like when it has something on the top or if it has the yellow fringe.
That's correct.
Are you claiming right now that the United States, is in martial law? Because of
it is in martial. It is in martial life and law. And if you don't believe me, walk into your governor's office in Florida, and on the flag standard is going to be the spear. When the spear is on top of the flag standard, it suspends contract. I didn't make this stuff up. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
What is the symbolism or the process, if you would, when you talk? You mentioned Marshall-Law, Russell-J. Can you explain that for us? And then Nicole, can you explain why you speak in that way and the importance of it and the legality of it?
Oh, that's a great question. Hey, I'm going to pose a couple things to you, and I'm going to walk you guys through that. So say you're writing a check to yourself at the bank, and you go to the bank and you go write a check, say for $35, right? You go 30-5, which translates into 35. Well, numbers are nouns and people are nouns. Now try taking the procedure out of that scenario. So you create 30 space 5 or 305, because you lose control of the noun if you drop the procedure. So when I use procedure in my name, I'm taking control of the facts, so I don't allow another outside entity to take control of the meaning.
So when you
simple. This is a
interesting, and it's fascinating. It really is super interesting.
When you went out with you and your partner David before, your partner's name was David, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, my ex-business partner was David Wynn Miller, yes.
When you first came out together like this, what was your initial reception when you started going to these organizations? Like, what was the level of either acceptance at that level, at that official level? And then how do you feel people are like with you right now from just an overall the masses, if you would? How are they reacting to you?
Well, that's a good question. Well, I can tell you on that same date that we got the peace treaty, which was February 20th of 2003, we were at the Postal Reform Commission with C-SPAN and the supposed Postmaster General coming in to talk in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee. And our reception back in the time, because they didn't have an oath of office, they were a fraudulent organization, they didn't have a flag, they didn't have a country. So we took a different position. And when the Postmaster General saw me, he literally turned around and ran out of the building. True story. However, as soon as he did that, David and I jumped up in front of the cameras. C-SPAN shut off all the cameras, and we charged them all with treason against the people for their fictitious grammar and not telling the people the truth. So at the time, we were not very accepted very well. We were not very popular because we were coming to them with a message of correctness. Correct your grammar, come clean with the people, let's fix this problem. So this, what we're seeing in 2020, wouldn't happen, right? So they've had knowledge all these years of being correct. They have made a choice not to be correct, but society wasn't ready, which means that the people themselves were so busy back in those days fighting on for their mortgages, going to their barbecues. I mean, you look how society has changed from 2003 to 2020. Now people are at home. They can get in front of their computers. They can do their own research, right? Truth wins.
You figured out you figured out grammatically how to be able to, find out the wrongs, or if you would, that were maybe written in here. And then through that process, and help me to understand this one, and this is what I'm trying to wrap my head around this. So when you were able to figure out this, and okay, if I grammatically phrase this in a way. How were you the one able to actually appoint yourself as that? So, for example, how when you looked at that, how were you? Could I have done it? For example, if I would have looked at that language, could I have put myself in one of these roles?
You could have at the time, but it was done through hieroglyphics. Remember, we got to go back to the foundation of communication. Because they were writing in adverb, verb, adjective pronouns, they would give me their hieroglyphics, right? So what that would mean is, remember what I said? I sent the registered mail into them with the certified green card return, and they put the hieroglyphic on top. So it was a hieroglyphic communication, and it was all they could give me at the time. That is a great question. Yes, sir, you could have done it if you would have had knowledge. But under grandfathering, you can't do it. And they don't even let people in the doors now. It's absolutely insane everywhere.
What do you think, me, Muster Master of the U.S. Navy? I could do it?
No, I don't think that's your I don't think that, not in this lifetime.
Try it. It takes a lot of knowledge. I spent...
I'll let you run with it, man.
Yeah, from 1996 to 2003, I was on the phone once a week with Navy JAG, dealing with different commanders and procedures on mechanics. See, this is not we're just out there claiming. This was a lot of hard work. I learned a lot about shipping. I learned a lot about contracts. In return, they asked questions about parsing, syntax, grammar, and communication. I'll tell you that the Department of Navy met me in Charles de Gaulle International Airport because I was mailing myself around the world without a passport. And when I did that, the Secretary of the Navy's office was as the key master or key holder of the Port Authority for Charles de Gaulle Airport, moved me through customs because I didn't have a passport. I didn't have to stop because there's no borders. The U.S. Navy approached me and said, hey, excuse me, sir, we have an American who's on foreign soil that has a possession or a cause and effect, a possession and authority in his sentence structure. What is he missing? I says, well, he's missing the verb of thinking, but the thinking will never change to the condition of the act. He pulled out his business card as, the Secretary of the Navy's office. I said, hey, I'm Muster-Master. They said, Russell, we got a question for you. We've watched you in all these banks. I'd been, doing these things, a lot of things. I said, we watched you at Interpol, the banks, Postal Union, the Vatican. I said, what in the hell is so funny? You're always got a big smile on your face. I said, man, I didn't know that doing this was going to be so easy to help the people. And the guy's like, oh, so, I've been a lot of places. The government and the military are very aware. When I went to the Vatican, the nuns told me flat out, they said, we've been studying me and David's technology for 5 years in San Antonio, Texas. I'm not a secret. I'm a secret to society, yes.
Yeah.
But to the educated upper end of the world, I'm not a secret. They know perfectly well. They've given me technology. I have secrets that are crazy.
Can you take us through a day? Like, what does a day in a chief look like?
In my world?
Yeah, like when you wake up in the morning, like what will you do tomorrow? How does your day start? What entails in your day?
Tomorrow,
what does your security detail do?
I walk. These are things that I'm going to have to deal with, but I'm in the lab. I'm a chemist, right? I have my own periodic tables, monoatomic tables. I'm big into using them. I'm the first guy to publish a monoatomic contract for looking at different alternatives for health. Mm-hmm. And I'm in the lab 12, 15 hours a day. And, do everything from extractions of precious metals to look at different energy movements of molecular matter. So that's what I do. And I'm really good at it. Real thorough. And so with my quantum banking system, I have proven to myself, and I can prove to the world that there's matter here that we don't have to mine to hurt the earth. Mm-hmm. My system is not about hurting the earth. It's actually about the earth will repair itself if we take the yoke off of it, which is the chemtrails and a lot of the pollution, a lot of things that we're seeing out here. And so it's kind of unfair to the world and to Americans that in our country, we have nothing but red tape in every aspect of our lives, so we can't conduct business. And yet in other countries, they can pollute the world like crazy. And so there's a real issue, and this is why, as Postmaster General of the world, these are some of the crutches and some of the criteria that I will get to deal with to clean up. This is part of the tough love situation that I get to go dole out.
Hold on, Jay. I want to ask you. Sorry, people. But the quantum banking system, you wrote the quantum banking system. How is that different from what everybody's talking about right now, the quantum financial system? And when is the quantum banking system going to be implemented?
Well, the implementation is starting. That I was on the phone, just the phone call before this, with a cryptocurrency radio. All the crypto guys are going crazy, and I proved to them some scenarios on some of the claims that I was claiming about that. They were very satisfied. But my cryptos and the values that I have are not pie in the sky derivatives based, and I'm not a debt based economy. I'm an economy on a consumption tax where we downsize the overall macroeconomics of the country and the federal government. And we put the onus back into the people and give a fair market. Where there's a lot of complications coming up with the science tech and some of the things that they're going to implement to move the workforce out of the way. Mm-hmm. And that's up for society to decide whether they choose to participate with that or not. It's not up to big tech to force that down our throats. And good thing for society is the big tech doesn't have authorization to exist in the corporation, and it's martial law, which means in time, bombs can be put a lot of places, and it's unfortunate.
One second, Jay. Hold on. Hold your horses.
All right.
The quantum banking system, your quantum bank, can you break it down in layman's terms? What exactly is it, and how is it going to improve everybody's lives?
Well, the quantum banking system does several things. Number one, I got to get in location in Washington, D.C. on the foreclosures and all the mortgages, right? Because the bank's already failed. So the bank failure is over. That's the good news. Yeah. The bad news is that they don't have the authorization to put into place to build a support system for the people. The reason why they don't have the authorization is because they don't have a flag. This is why I'm going to Washington, D.C., to make sure the American people have the rights to use the flag in a mannerism that gives closure and contract through the grammar. Now, to answer your question, how does this help your day-to-day life? Yeah. First of all, it brings accountability. This is not a free handout. It is stability in the marketplace. That we're not trying to give free handouts because there's actually real value in working if you so choose to. But there's no taxation on that which you work for. Okay, so there's a consumption tax based upon what you purchase. Also, simultaneously, there is no death tax. So now you can pass your goods to your family or whoever. This will
be your plan when you enter in, right? When you assume that.
This is part of it. Yeah, this is part of it.
Are there taxes? Yes. Will we have taxes?
No, you will not.
We won't have any taxes.
So there'll be no flat tax. Everything will just be the cost of
whatever
consumer goods tax, right?
It's a consumer goods tax. That is correct. That, I built a global pair. Go ahead.
Take us into November, if you would, when we get to the election. As the Postmaster General, will you be able
of the world?
Would you be able to? Thank you. Will you be able to assure people that mail-in ballots is not going to compromise the election? And my follow-up with that, or tag along onto that, how are you playing into this? Now, where are we gonna see you in this whole equation come November time?
We'd like to share a story. While it may sound fictional, it's very real and happening right now in front of our very eyes. It's called The Great Awakening. Our sisters and brothers that come on Spiritually Raw are doing everything to help expand global consciousness, and in many cases putting everything on the line to share their messages about what's happening around the world for the greater good of humanity, while exposing the truth of the deep state and the dark forces behind it all.
In 2017, a mysterious anonymous entity on the internet started posting on the 4chan messaging board. He claimed to be a patriot with the highest level security clearance, and he called himself Q. Q has been steadily releasing the most massive inside intelligence to the public in the history of humanity. Q has predicted the deaths of powerful politicians, Hollywood celebrities, and the elite.
We are living in the most unbelievable times. Some may even say biblical, scary for many and yet exhilarating for others. Together we are taking part in getting everyone acclimated to the Great Awakening process and the exciting new discoveries that lie ahead. The sad part is many of our amazing guests are being heavily censored, socially shamed, and outright banned on many platforms for exposing the truth and piercing the veil. By becoming a viewer, you bring your powerful energy towards this global movement of other truth seekers. If you're resonating with our show, please let us know by hitting the like button, sharing, subscribing, turn on the notification, and leave some comments. We would also like to invite you to become a patron and connect with a global movement of others in search of the truth and receive members-only exclusive content in our private Facebook community. Patreon serves as a means to support Spiritually Raw's mission to wake up as many people worldwide and help them on their path to spiritual freedom, enlightenment, and global peace. Go to Patreon.com/SpirituallyRAW to join our private community now. Together, we will turn the universal key to global harmony and create a unified world. And remember, tune in often, tell all your friends, and most importantly, may all your dreams come true. Thanks and God bless Patriots worldwide.